This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, here we go. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers Postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. Unable to complete the sweep are the Detroit Tigers. First loss in the American League Central Division. Twins top the Tigers 5-1. We'll break it down. Spencer Torkelson, though, stays hot. Another torque bomb. Casey Mize, what went wrong, what went right. His first loss of the season. And oh yeah, we'll have our talking points, our turning point, and of course, our player of the game. So buckle up, dial it in. It's a live Locked On Tigers Postcast, which is a reminder that this is your place for all things Tigers postgame right here, free and available on the Locked On Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, on YouTube as well. Don't forget to check out Locked On Tigers Daily with Scott Bentley. And shout out to Scott that joined us yesterday for the collab we had all been waiting for. And I think, as we joked, we're 1-0 in dual post-game shows. So we'll have to have Scott on once again, because today's a perfect example. No Scott, no victory for the Detroit Tigers. But I kid. I'm looking forward to taking us all the way for the post-game show until the Tigers turn the page and play the Milwaukee Brewers up next. But today, this afternoon, bats somewhat silenced in the case of the finale here, aside from the home run from Spencer Torkelson, which great to see, by the way, that Spencer Torkelson stays hot. He stays locked in and continues to wreak havoc on opposing pitchers. That home run, 396 feet to left field. And in the fourth inning, it was the lone source of offense for the Detroit Tigers. Now, that being said, you got to give a lot of credit to Spencer Torkelson now. 5 home runs on the season, 11 runs batted in. This for a guy that you just couldn't feel any better for, because make no mistake about it, it was an all or nothing, prove it, show it, or you're out of here kind of year. And for the first overall pick and the Detroit Tigers organization, and for what he's done, first overall pick from 2020, man, it is so great to see what he has blossomed into this year, because we knew he could do it. He had the 30 home run season 2 years ago, really struggled last year. We knew he could do it, which, by the way, I should also point out that on today's show, on the Sunday, that is, it's Masters Sunday. So if you're watching the Masters, totally get this. Chime in. Let me know what you think with what's going on in the Masters right now. And if you're catching the audio version of this, it's a live Locked On Tigers post-game show that could yield just about anything. So as always, your comments are welcome. Now, let's talk Casey Mize for a second. His first loss of the season. I don't think he pitched bad per se. Had a couple pitches that he'd like to have back, a couple split fingers that were elevated, and the Twins offense disposed of them beyond the outfield fences. I'm talking about Byron Buxton with the home run in the first inning that made it 1-0. And then he got a little bit of trouble in that sixth inning with the home run to Julian that made it 3-1. And then with his final line for Casey Mize, he gets this first loss of the season, 5 2/3. He gave up 7 hits, 4 earned runs. He struck out 3 and gave up the 2 long balls that I mentioned. But as far as first pitch strikes, he was attacking the zone, 19 of 24 in that category. First pitch strikes, swing and misses for Casey Mize. He got 8 of them throughout the course of the game today. So you look at what Casey Mize did, and it wasn't his best start, certainly not his worst start. And just an example today where the Tigers just didn't have any offense. And I think over the course of 162 games, there's going to be games like this. And Andy Dirks and Jason Benetti, for that matter, said it in the post game just now, that it's about winning series, especially on the road in division. Go out, win the series. I'm not going to get overly upset about a 5-1 loss to the Minnesota Twins on the heels of the series finale in which the Tigers were going for a sweep. Now, that being said, as far as the Tigers record goes against the division, I think you'll take 5-1. If you win every 5 out of 6 division games, you're going to be in a heck of a spot. I think we can all agree on that. As always, want to get your comments in from the dude. He says, why can't Green and Tork be good at the same time? Yeah, it is kind of bizarre. And those two young catalysts of the future of this team, it seems like when one is thriving, obviously Riley Green thrived last year. One and was the all-star and everything. One is kind of scuffling. So maybe they'll find a way to put it all together. And I don't think Riley's necessarily, it hasn't been up to the standard we know that Riley Green is capable of playing. That's for sure. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But it's not like it's been egregious either. We just know he can continue to do more and continue to do better. So Riley Green right now hitting 233, slugging 450. So yeah, there's some work to be done there. 0 for 4 today with 3 strikeouts, but he'll get into it. I have no doubt about that. And this is a classic telltale sign that maybe something's coming, but for where I'm at with this Detroit Tigers team right now, I feel good. I don't think there's anything to be overly concerned about. It's just it's a start where you have a lot of players injured. You're weathering the storm. And if you take where the Tigers are after a 15-game sample size math is hard. Yeah, 15-game sample size at 9-6. I think that's certainly a good spot to be for the Detroit Tigers, who lose today 5-1. But more comments to get into. As always, it's a collaborative environment. It's a live post game. If you missed yesterday's live Locked On Tigers postcast, we had Scott Bentley join us in the collab that we had all been waiting for. It was a lot of fun. Demetrius McNeil checking in. Another series win for the Tigers, but only 1 run scored on a home run from Spencer Torkelson. Big play went to Harrison Bader for his diving catch, robbing Justin Henry Malloy. Next series is at the Brewers. Very good. Yeah, the Twins, give them credit. Listen, and Andy Dirk said this in the postgame. Brad Penny used to say, those guys on the other team, they drive Cadillacs too because they're in the bigs. That's the point being there. They're on scholarship too. Whatever cliche saying you want to use. I mean, the Minnesota Twins, despite their struggles out of the gates, that's still a team many people believed could win the American League Central, and many people picked to win the American League Central. And now they're not quite in last because that last place in the American League Central is reserved for the Chicago White Sox, but they're 5-11. Tigers now 9-6, ahead of the Guardians, who lost to the Royals to end a 5-game win streak there. But this division's wide open, and I don't think one game on a Sunday in April changes any of that. All right. Top of the hour with Corey Leland says, never out of it. Well, out of it every once in a while. Yeah. I mean, again, the baseball is a way of humbling you. We were on cloud 9 yesterday because you had everything you wanted to see in a game. You had Jackson Job's first career win in the bigs. You had Spencer Torkelson going absolutely ham with a bomb in the upper deck, and you still have the Spencer Torkelson bomb today. But I get it. There's some disappointed Sunday viewers on the Locked On Tigers postcast. Joel Jackson says terrible game for the Tigers. DT Lion says Mize sucks. I don't think necessarily Mize sucks. It's with the same conversation we have with Spencer Torkelson, it is the year for the first overall draft pick to show us that he can be a sustainable, reliable starter in this league. And in a very small sample size to begin the season, I think he's done enough, although today he gets hit with his first loss of the season. And I know wins and losses are a very minor statistic when it comes to starting pitching, but I don't think Casey Mize, if you look across Major League Baseball, what a 4th and 5th starter represents, I think Casey Mize is on par with that. DT Lion says it seems to be a common theme that this team plays their worst baseball in the 3rd game of series. Yeah, something to keep our eye on for sure. I wouldn't disagree with you there. They, for whatever reason, haven't, even that game on a week ago on Sunday against the White Sox, it took a miraculous comeback to earn the victory there. Last game against Seattle, they won the first 2 of that series, lost that series with the finale there. And again, I'm not I'm not justifying it by saying you don't have to play well in the last game of the series. You certainly don't. But if you continue to win 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, then you gotta feel good about that. I mean, there's a lot of baseball, a lot of games, and going 5-1 against your division is not a bad way to get things going. But the Tigers, also worth noting, took 2 of 3 from the New York Yankees and lost the last game of that series too. So I get it. I hear it. It is kind of an odd coincidence that is stockpiling here in the early portion of the season. But coming up next, actually, before we go any further, my goodness, it's like it's the first time he's ever done a Locked On Postcast, everyone. You got to fit in the talking about segment.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Had it on the rundown and everything right in front of me, talking about segment, but we've already talked about what you're going to be talking about. So just as a reminder, the Spencer Torkelson mashing, raking, whatever you want to call it, continues with his 5th home run of the season and 11th RBI. That's what we're talking about on Locked On Tigers Postcast. Coming up next, we'll have our turning point and, of course, our player of the game. And we'll look ahead to the Milwaukee Brewers series beginning tomorrow. That's next on a live Locked On Tigers Postcast. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keeping you feeling fuller for longer, to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Now, I love the Wonderful Pistachios. A great snack when I'm on the air, on the radio, on Locked On Tigers Postcast, whatever it is, because I feel fuller longer. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days as well. So whether you're snacking on your desk, maybe you're on a road trip, whatever it is, you need that quick protein boost. They're always a great go-to, Wonderful Pistachios. And hey, if you want to enjoy the no shell life, the no shells Wonderful Pistachios are awesome for that grab and go easy use. The satisfying crack of opening each shell is also an option. I don't mind that. If I'm sitting around watching a ball game, crack open the shell, enjoy that delicious protein source. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. This episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. There you go. Listen up. Monarch Money lets you take control, because we've all had those moments where you check your bank account and you wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's much more than that. It's a complete financial command center that allows you to track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you take control and start building wealth. That's what it's all about, building that wealth. And if you've got a significant other, there's an easy collaboration tool that allows managing your money with your partner easier than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts. You can set goals together and stay on the same page without the stress. That's super important. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. That's LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Locked On Pistons was just a little bit ago, and this is the Locked On Tigers. That's what April and the D will get you. And a great reminder, if you missed the Locked On Pistons postcast, check that out on Locked On Sports Detroit, and it's free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as well, as the Pistons gear up for the postseason. right now, the Locked On Tigers postcast. We are recapping the latest from the Detroit Tigers, and the dude reminds me that Riley Green is 1 for his last 24 with too many Ks. Not good. Yes, he is struggling. He's top 3 in strikeouts in all of baseball. That's from Thomas Rotondi. Listen, I hear it. I understand guys struggle out of the gates. It happens. And we hope that he can start to figure it out at the plate. But this guy's an all-star last year. I'm not worried. Now, that being said, let's get into our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I think you got to give this credit to the Minnesota Twins. This game turned. It was 2-1. Torkelson had hit that homer in the 4th, when in the bottom of the 6th, that's when Julian homered to left to break it open a little bit more to make it 3-1. They get one more run to make it 4-1 on the infield single that allowed Buxton to score. And listen, the Twins, again, they drive Cadillacs too, because this is a team that, yes, they've struggled out of the gate, but with Byron Buxton and the rest of that lineup, you know they're going to put some pressure on you. And I mentioned Julian with the home run that stretched the lead. This was just an example. They continue to stretch the lead, continue to create a little distance between the Tigers, and ultimately win it 5-1. And so that being said, it wasn't like it was just one drastic turning point. It was just a game that the Twins had control in from start to finish. Let's get to our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Pains me, got to give it to the opposition today. It's Byron Buxton, 2 more hits, couple extra base hits, the home run as well, the RBI. And listen, he's needs to be, for Minnesota to have success, he needs to be a focal point of that team, and he was today, and they turned that into a 5-1 win. So Tigers fall to 9-6 in their first 15 games, 5-1 against the American League Central. And for the second consecutive series, 3 of their last 4, the Tigers win the first 2, but lose the finale. But again, notice I said 4 straight series wins for the Tigers. It's not the most exciting today. I get that. Wish it would have gone better for the Tigers, but understandably, they lose this one 5-1. Hey, if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. If you missed any of today's episode, it's free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube on the Locked On Tigers YouTube page. Thanks to Scott Bentley for joining me yesterday. Don't forget to check out Locked On Tigers Daily. And as always, keep it right here for all things Detroit Tigers, your post-game destination, Locked On Tigers. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next time. Tigers and Brewers. Real quick, the projected starters in that one for Monday night begins Monday night in Milwaukee. Skubal will go for the Tigers. A little bit later of a start. It's 7:40 Eastern time. Tyler Alexander for the Milwaukee Brewers. How about that? Jack Flaherty will go in the second game for the Tigers, which means the finale, it'll be Reese Olson. And then a 4-game series against the Kansas City Royals. So looking forward to that. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and evening whenever you're listening to this. Go Tigers as always. Come up short today, 5-1 against the Twins, but still take the series, 4 consecutive series wins. See you next time on Locked On Tigers Postcasts.